All right. Hey there, Modern Math teacher. Welcome to this week's episode of the Modern Math Teacher Podcast. I'm your host here, Kristen Moore. And if you're listening to this in real time, happy Teacher Appreciation Week and happy Teacher Appreciation Day. I love you. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being a listener to this podcast. If this is something that you love and you want to show some appreciation as well, if you could leave a comment or review, that would mean so much to me. Okay. Enough about me. Let's dive into today's action steps. Today, we're talking about a summer countdown survival guide. We need to talk about some strategies to keep our students motivated until the last day. Because I don't know about you and your students, but my students are already hitting that like pre-summer slump where they're just tuned out. They don't want to do anything, and I've got to keep them motivated till the end. So, as the days are getting longer and the weather is getting warmer, everyone just wants to be outside. They want to be doing things. They're thinking about what's happening in their summer ahead, and it's really difficult for them to stay focused on their studies. And this shift in focus has a significant impact on our student engagement and, of course, their academic performance. And we need them to be performing at their best and engaged at their best all the way until the bell rings on the last day. So, we want to talk about the pre-summer slump, this idea that the students are going to be less engaged, they're going to be checking out mentally, and it's going to be challenging for us as teachers to maintain their attention and our students' enthusiasm for learning. So it can manifest in a bunch of different ways, whether that is decreased effort on assignments. Maybe your students are turning in fewer and fewer assignments or half done assignments, increased absenteeism and tardiness. They're just not as motivated to come cruising into class as they were before. It's a time when students may be more prone to procrastinating, pushing things off till the last second, and just general disengagement, which of course makes a significant challenge for us teachers keeping our classroom on track until the last day of school. So today I wanted to share with you guys a couple of strategies for one, keeping your students motivated and engaged during the final weeks of school, and also some ways that we can help manage their behaviors along the way. Okay, so we're going to talk about some motivation and some management strategies. So let me start off by talking about how to keep our students motivated to learn in these last couple of weeks. I've got some three easy to implement tactics to help maintain excitement and engagement in your classroom. So, the first thing I want to talk about to increase engagement and motivation is, of course, hands on activities. Our students are antsy. Let's get them doing something. Whether it's conducting experiments, building models, or engaging in collaborative projects, hands on learning experiences can bring math to life and capture students' attention in really meaningful ways. By providing our students with that opportunity to explore and interact with these math concepts in a tangible way, we are going to reignite their curiosity and their excitement for learning. If you need any examples of these activities, go check out last week's episode and you'll hear about half dozen activities that you can implement today. I am, as a matter of fact, the day this goes live, going to be doing a hands-on activity with my students using Starburst from the mathematic curriculum. So always feel free to check them out. They've got great activities. So, number one, hands on activities are going to help boost that engagement and keep our students motivated. Number two, we're going to talk about games and competitions. Everybody wants to win, my friend. There's a reason they have elementary field days in the spring. The students have energy, they're excited, they want to get out there, and they just want to win. So, you can decide whether you want to bring in like a math based board game to your classroom competitions and challenges, or you can just gamify learning by making the lessons more engaging and memorable for your students. When you tap into this natural sense of competition and desire for achievement, we are then going to motivate our students to actively participate and strive for success. So, some top games you might want to play: Sequence or Set, Kahoot, and Quizzes always have really great competitive aspects to them. And then, there's all sorts of great things you can find on Teachers Pay Teachers, which, again, if you're listening real time, they're having their TPT site-wide sale, 25% off for this week in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week. So go and take a look and see if there's something you can do that is standards aligned, that is a game based, that's really just going to get your students excited. All right. So hands-on strategies, some sort of gamification. Third strategy, student choice. My gosh, guys, they know what kind of learner they are at this point. You are listening to me, you are a middle or high school teacher, most likely, and you know that your students know a thing or two about the way that they learn. So let's empower them to take some ownership and allow them to make some choices in their learning. So, whether that is they get to select a topic of interest that they are going to be working on, they're going to choose a project idea, or they're going to determine their own learning pace. Any of these can increase the sense of investment and engagement in the classroom. When we honor those preferences and individual learning styles, we foster a sense of autonomy that we really want our young people to have. It's going to empower them and fuel them and motivate them to succeed. So, again, if you incorporate any of those three strategies, so the hands on learning, some sort of gamification, and boosting student ownership, you are definitely going to mitigate the effects of that pre summer slump and keep your students engaged and motivated until the end of the year. Okay. So, three strategies for keeping them motivated, but we still have to manage them in the classroom. Even if they're motivated, not every one of them is going to be. So, let's talk about some effective classroom management to maintain a productive learning environment until that last day of school. And no, my friends, I know it's May if you're listening in real time, but it is not too late to reinvigorate your classroom management. In fact, here are three strategies, again, to support classroom management during the final week. Okay. First strategy, establish clear expectations and routines to minimize the disruptions. I know you thought of them. You probably had them in a classroom management plan, if you have a full one of those, or you thought about them at the beginning of the year. Now is the time to be revisiting them. Consistency is key, especially as the end of the school year is approaching. So remember to clearly communicate your expectations for behavior and academic performance. And by establishing those consistent routines for things like transitions or procedures, we can create that structured learning environment that minimizes distractions and maximizes instructional learning time. I have been in and out of my classroom over the past few weeks dealing with meetings and some personal affairs. And I know that when I come back, I have to be real strong with my students and say, hey, remember, this is our expectation. This is what I want you to do right now. Did they take a couple of extra reminders? Of course they did. But are they going to follow through better? The more consistent I am, the more clear I am. You know it. All right. So, second classroom management strategy is to use positive reinforcement and rewards. Who doesn't like being given kudos? That's what Teachers Appreciation Week is about, right? So, whether it is a verbal phrase, a phrase of praise, that's fine, it works. Some verbal praise, some stickers, or other incentives like Dum Dum Suckers and Starburst that my students love. Again, doing that in class tomorrow. Positive reinforcement can motivate students to stay on task and demonstrate their desired behaviors. When we acknowledge and celebrate their efforts and their accomplishments, we reinforce that positive behavior and create a supportive learning and encouraging classroom culture, which is what we want. When other students see students being recognized, they then want recognition themselves. So that's going to anyone who's exhibiting that model behavior, little positive reinforcement can go a whole long way. You could even, if you were super excited to go all out, create some sort of incentive jar with a grand prize celebration, right? So, whether that is a movie day or a pizza party, high school students aren't too old for it. I promise you this. All right. Last up, let's talk about our third management strategy. So, we're going to remind them of the rules. We're going to be clear and consistent. We are going to use positive reinforcement and maybe some sort of reward, whether it's verbal praise or physical praise. We also want to talk about some proactive strategies for addressing behavioral challenges. Okay. We know what behaviors we're going to expect to see with our students: lack of engagement, more wandering, frequent use of the passes, excessive use of their cell phones. So think about what these are. And whether it is brainstorming that list of like, what are my good redirection techniques? What behavior contracts have I used that work before? Or what incentives can I use? Anything you can do to provide additional support and resources for those struggling students proactively is key. It's the proactive intervention that can help prevent those minor disruptions from escalating into major disruptions in your learning environment. So, that is going to help you maintain a focused and productive classroom for your students who are, again, ready for summer. All right. So if you incorporate any of those three or all three at once, you are definitely going to create that learning environment that's going to foster the engagement, boost the motivation, and keep the academic success until the last day of school, which is coming sooner than any of us can imagine. So let's set some clear expectations. Let's recognize and celebrate our student achievements, and let's proactively address behavior challenges to ensure a smooth and successful end of the school year. And that's what we're all after, isn't it? Okay. All right, teacher bestie. So now it is time for a little bit of reflection and action. So take a moment to reflect on your own experiences and challenges with motivating students during the final weeks of school. What strategies have worked well for you in the past? What obstacles have you encountered? And how did you overcome them? So think about that. This isn't your first rodeo. And if it is, ask a teacher bestie down the hall or DM me on Instagram. I am happy to share my insight from my, oh gosh, 13, 14 years in the classroom. It's been a while. Okay. So, what's worked well for you in the past? What obstacles have you encountered? And how did you overcome them? And once you've reflected on those, I really want to encourage you to take one or two strategies from today's episode, whether those are the motivational strategies, the hands-on learning, the gamification, or the oh my gosh, I just lost it. Or the student empowerment, right? Giving them choice. So, one of those three strategies or one of the three management strategies. Pick one or two to implement in your classroom and help you have smooth sailing from now until the end of the year. By taking these actions and implementing these strategies in your classroom, you're going to make the most of these final few weeks that we have and ensure that your students finish strong. Okay. I think that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're talking about how to avoid that pre summer slump, how to manage it, right? So, how to motivate our students and how to manage our classroom as we are all on the wind down towards summer. To recap, there were three strategies for motivating our students. One, utilizing interactive or hands on activities. For examples, check out last week's episode. Two, gamifying your classroom with games, competitions, just to keep the energy and the engagement high. Three, empowering your students to have autonomy in what they are learning. Students are always way more invested when they have a say. And then we talked about the other side of the coin, three strategies for managing those students. So, setting your clear expectations, make sure you're setting and maintaining them, the ones that you've implemented all school year. Don't give in just as the end is in sight. Okay. I have to remind myself of that too. So, you're not alone there, teacher friend. Positive reinforcement. A little bit goes a long way. Some positive praise, a little sticker, a starburst, a sucker, whatever you got. They're going to love it. And proactive planning. Think about what behaviors you know you're going to expect and how are you going to handle them when they inevitably pop up. Okay. All right, you guys, remember you don't have to go it alone. There are so many resources and support available to you to help you explore and implement the strategies discussed in today's episode. I want to invite you, if you have not yet, come join your friends inside the Modern Math Teachers Movement Facebook group to share tips and tricks for motivating and managing students until the end of the school year. Until next time, my friends, keep motivating your kiddos, keep managing your classroom to keep your sanity, and as always, keep it real. Bye, guys.